Hello students, welcome to this video which is based on the sixth lesson of your supplementary book, and this is an interesting lesson written by famous writer Ruskin Bond, and the name of the lesson is The Fight. Students, Ruskin Bond's stories are always very interesting, especially for children, and this story is also like that. I hope you all will enjoy this story. Students, I'll be making two videos on this lesson, and this will be the first part. Let us read the lesson and try to know the story about the fight. Especially among the boys, it's very common that at a certain age, especially when they are of your ages, they're very aggressive, they for silly reasons they are ready to fight. And this lesson is also based on two boys like that, who were stranger to each other, who did not know each other. Accidentally they met each other, but when they met, that started with a quarrel. They fought with each other, and interesting part is that at the end they became friends. An understanding developed between them and they became good friends. That's why you will find the story interesting. A young boy named Ranji, he was in a place called Rajpur. He came there to spend his summer vacation, and actually he came from a dry place, a desert. So spending the summer in a hilly area was very interesting for him. Let me read out some lines from the lesson and then I will explain it to you, and I hope it will be clear. Ranji had been less than a month in Rajpur when he discovered the pool in the forest. It was the height of summer and his school had not yet opened, and having as yet made no friends in this semi-hill station, he wandered about a good deal by himself into the hills and forests that stretched away interminably on all sides of the town. It was hot, very hot at that time of the year, and Ranji walked about in his vest and shorts, his brown feet white with the chalky dust that flew up from the ground. The earth was parched, the grass brown, the trees listless, hardly stirring, waiting for a cool wind or a refreshing shower of rain. So it was in the midsummer that he has spent even less than a month there in Rajpur. And one day he was just roaming around in the forest and he discovered a pool of water, a small, you can say, pond in the forest. That was the midsummer, as I told you. His school did not start yet. He was new to that place. He didn't have friends in that semi-hill station. I told you it was a hilly place. So he used to, whenever he was free, he used to move around, just walk. The town was surrounded by forests on all the sides. It was very hot at that time of the year. When he was moving around, he was in his vest and shorts. Vest is the banyan, and his shorts like the half pants or three quarters, like that. Everywhere it was very dusty. The trees were waiting for rain. The earth was dried, getting dried completely. It was hot and dry, waiting for rain to cool it. Refreshing shower of rain. It was on such a day, a hot, tired day, that Ranji found the pool in the forest. On such a very hot day, Ranji found that pool in the forest. The water had a gentle translucency, and you could see the smooth round pebbles at the bottom of the pool. A small stream emerged from a cluster of rocks to feed the pool. During the monsoon, the stream would be a gushing torrent cascading down from the hills, but during the summer, it was barely a trickle. Then, it was on such a hot day that Ranji discovered the pool in the forest. The water was so clear, crystal clear, that he could see the small, small stones, pebbles that were at the bottom of that stream. In the summer season, maybe that would be a stream with flowing water, with a force, making noise. But in summer, very less water. No? It contained very less water. The water that came from the rocks were feeding that stream, and that was very less, hardly a trickle, just like a thin line. Okay. Cascading means coming down like a waterfall. It would be a rushing waterfall flowing with lots of noise during the rainy season. The rocks, however, held the water in the pool, and it did not dry up like the pools in the plains. So in the hilly regions, mostly the streams or the ponds are fed by water coming out from the rocks, and that one keeps them filled with water even in the dry season. Had it been in the plain areas, that pool would have dried. When Ranji saw the pool, he did not hesitate to get into it. He had often gone swimming along or with friends when he had lived with his parents in a thirsty town in the middle of the Rajputana desert. There he had known only sticky, muddy pools where buffaloes wallowed and women washed clothes. He had never seen a pool like this, so clean and cold and inviting. He leapt into the water. His limbs were supple, free of any fat, and his dark body glistened in patches of sunlit water. So when Ranji saw the pool with cool water and very clean water, he did not hesitate to get into the water. He had often gone swimming alone or with his friends. He had a habit of that when he lived with his parents in Rajputana desert. In the middle of Rajputana desert, there he found only muddy and sticky pools where buffaloes used to wallow. You have seen the buffaloes when it's terribly hot, you find the buffaloes in the water. No? They can't tolerate the heat. But this pool was neat and clean, so cold, and it was inviting. He leapt into the water. His limbs were supple. When you are in the water, you feel your body becomes very light, as if there is no fat, and his dark body glistened in patches of sunlit water. It was glowing. The next day he came again. That day was over. He went back. Next day again he visited that pool to quench his body in the cool waters of the forest pool. Next day he visited again. He was there for almost an hour, sliding in and out of the limpid green water or lying stretched out on the smooth yellow rocks in the shade of broad-leaved sal trees. It was while he lay thus that he noticed another boy standing a little distance away, staring at him in a rather hostile manner. The other boy was a little older than Ranji, taller, thick-set, with a broad nose and thick red lips. He had only just noticed Ranji, and when Ranji did not say anything, the other boy called out, "What are you doing here, mister?" So when he went there, almost an hour, he was playing with waters, entering the water, swimming in and out of the water, lying stretched on the smooth yellow rocks that were in the shade of some sal trees that were near the stream. At that time, when he was lying on the rock, he noticed another boy standing a little distance away, and that boy was looking fixedly at him, straightly, in a hostile manner. Hostile means not in a friendly way. Opposite of friendly is hostile. The other boy was little older than him. Okay, the other boy was a bit older, and he was tall, well built, broad nose, thick red lips. It seems he had just noticed Ranji, and when Ranji did not say anything, the other boy called out to him and shouted at him, "What are you doing here, mister?" Ranji, who was prepared to be friendly, was taken aback at the hostility of others' tone. So Ranji, actually, he was a very friendly type of boy, and he was shocked when the other boy was behaving in a very unfriendly way, hostile way. I am swimming, he replied. Why don't you join me? Then Ranji, in a very friendly way, he replied, I am swimming. Why don't you come and join me? I always swim alone, said the other. This is my pool. I did not invite you here. Then the other boy, very rudely, he replied, saying that, I always swim alone. This is my pool. I did not invite you to come here. The stranger strode up to Ranji, who still sat on the rock, and planting his broad feet firmly on the sand, said, as though this would settle the matter once and for all, don't you know I'm a warrior? I do not take replies from villagers like you. Then that boy, he came a bit near to the place where Ranji was, who was sitting on the rock, and he was planting his feet firmly on the sand, like that, on the sand, as if that was an indication to threaten Ranji, as if that action of that boy would solve the problem then and there. And then he said, don't you know I am a warrior and I don't take replies from villagers like you. So, you like to fight with villagers? Said Ranji. Well, I'm not a villager, I'm a fighter. Then Ranji said, oh, you don't want to take replies from villagers, no? So, what do you want to do? You like to fight with villagers? Well, you should know that I'm not a villager, I'm a fighter. One was saying I'm a warrior, other one was saying I'm a fighter, and it was going on like that. They had reached an impasse. One had said he was a warrior, the other had proclaimed himself a fighter. There was little else that could be said. So they were in a situation where they could not reach anywhere. One was saying he's a warrior, another one was saying he's a fighter. No other words were said. You understand that I'm a warrior, said the stranger, feeling that perhaps this information had not penetrated Ranji's head. Then the strange boy, he said that you should understand by this time that I'm a warrior, thinking that the information had not penetrated, means entered deeply into Ranji's brain. I've heard you say it 3 times, replied Ranji. Then Ranji said, yes, I've heard it. You have said it 3 times. Then why are you not running away? I'm waiting for you to run away. Then he said, oh, you have heard it 3 times. Then also you are still here. Why didn't you run away? Then Ranji replied, he said that I'm waiting for you to run away first. I will have to beat you, said the stranger, assuming a violent attitude, showing Ranji the palm of his hand. Then he was showing his hand and he was saying that, oh, so you are not willing to run away. Then I'll have to beat you in a very violent, aggressive way. He was showing the palm of his hand, hoping that this will threaten the other boy. I'm waiting to see you do it, said Ranji. Then Ranji said, fine, do you think I'm afraid? I'm not afraid. I'm waiting for you to do that. You will see me do it, said the other boy. Then the other boy said, okay, you will see me doing that to you. Ranji waited. The other boy made a strange hissing sound. They stared each other in the eye for almost a minute. Then the warrior slapped Ranji across the face with all the force he could muster. Ranji staggered, feeling quite dizzy. There were thick red finger marks on his cheek. Then for some time they waited. The other boy was making some strange hissing sound, like the sound of a snake, angry noise. Then they stared at each other. They were looking at each other for almost a minute. Then the warrior, he slapped Ranji on his face with all the strength he could gather. Ranji staggered, means he felt weak, lost his balance, and there were thick red finger marks on his cheek. There you are, exclaimed his assailant. Will you be off now? Then the other boy said, there you are, now you have got your reward. Will you be off now? Will you go away now? For answer, Ranji swung his arm up, pushed a hard bony fist into the other's face. And Ranji was also not less. he swung his arm and gave a blow to Ranji, to that strange boy. Though he was lean and thin, with his bony fist, when you do like that, it becomes a fist. With that, he gave a blow, and that one hit the other boy's face. And then they were at each other's throats, holding each other's throat, swaying on the rocks, tumbling on the sand, rolling over and over, their legs and arms locked in a desperate, violent struggle. Then they were holding each other's throat, rolling on the rocks, on the sand, rolling over. Once one was above, another one below him, again opposite. It was going on like that in a very violent struggle they were fighting. Gasping and cursing, clawing and slapping, they rolled into the shallows of the pool. Okay, they were angry, making angry sounds, trying to scratch each other with their nails, slapping each other, and finally they entered into the shallowness, which was not very deep. They entered into the pool. Even in the water, the fight continued, as spluttering and covered with mud, they groped for each other's head and throat. But after 5 minutes of frenzied, unscientific struggle, neither boy had emerged victorious. Their bodies heaving with exhaustion, they stood back from each other, making tremendous efforts to speak. Even in the water, they were fighting. In the mud, they were they were looking for each other's throat and hand, and they were fighting in the water. Frenzied means violent fight. Unscientific, the way they liked, they fought. Neither boy had become victorious. It was equal. Both of them were so tired, breathing heavily, tried to speak but could not speak, only they were breathing heavily. Now, do you realize I'm a warrior? Gasped the stranger. Then the stranger told him that, I hope you have realized now that I'm a warrior. Do you know I'm a fighter? Said Ranji with difficulty. So with some difficulty, Ranji replied saying that, do you know that I'm a fighter? They gave a moment's consideration to each other's answers, and in that moment of silence, there was only their heavy breathing and the rapid beating of their hearts. So they were silent for some time, only the breathing sound was heard, heavy breathing sound. They gave some time to get each other's answer. Then you will not leave the pool, said the warrior. I will not leave it, said Ranji. And the warrior spoke, saying that means you will not leave the pool? Ranji replied, I will not leave it. Then we shall have to continue the fight, said the other. All right, said Ranji. Then the other stranger said that if you are not willing to leave the pool, then we should continue this fight. And Ranji said, all right. But neither boy moved, neither took the initiative. The warrior had an inspiration. We will continue the fight tomorrow, he said. If you dare to come here again tomorrow, we will continue this fight, and I will not show you mercy as I have done today. Then the other boy said, we will continue the fight tomorrow. At first they wanted to continue, but none of them moved. They were so tired, and the warrior gave an inspiration. He said that a new idea came to him. He said, okay, let us continue this fight tomorrow. He said, if you dare to come here again tomorrow, we will continue this fight, and I'll not show any mercy which I have done today. Actually, the warrior had not shown any mercy. Ranji fought with him with equal strength, but he said that today I have shown you some mercy. Tomorrow, if you come here, I'll not show you any mercy. I will come tomorrow, said Ranji. I will be ready for you. And Ranji said, okay, fine, don't worry, I will come, I'll be ready for you. They turned from each other then, and going to their respective rocks, put on their clothes and left the forest by different routes. Then they turned away from each other. They went to their respective places on the rocks, put their clothes on, and they left the forest through different routes. They didn't follow the same route. So this is the end of the first part of the story. Let us wait for the second video to know what happened, whether the fight continued, how that fight ended, how they became friends. I would suggest that you should read the lesson very nicely. Go through the meanings are also given, though I have read out the meanings. You should also read and make a habit of using those words so that you remember them. Remember the name of that boy, the name of the place where he was, what type of pool he saw in the forest, how was that pool different from the pools in other places, what type of attitude was shown by the strange boy, how did Ranji react to that. You should be able to describe the fight in brief, and who emerged as the winner, and what decision did they take at the end of this part. So with this, I'll conclude this video here. We will read more in the next video. Till then, thank you for watching.